The vast council chamber floated in orbit above the neutral planet of Nivara. Its walls shimmered with polished metal, and light from distant stars poured in through enormous observation windows. Delegates from dozens of star systems gathered here, each representing their worlds, their voices calm but sharp with authority. In the center, the representative of Earth, Captain Lyra Dane, stood tall, her gaze steady despite the unease in the room. For decades, humanity had fought to gain respect among the stars. They had joined the Interstellar Council not just as observers, but as contributors, trading resources, technology, and knowledge to ensure fair cooperation. Now, in this chamber of diplomacy and political maneuvering, something felt wrong. Lyra adjusted her posture as she watched the council president, a tall, blue-skinned figure with multiple eyes, call the session to order. Delegates, the vote on the resource allocation accord will commence. This is a crucial matter for all systems. Lyra had studied the data carefully. The accord seemed fair on paper, but intelligence reports suggested a hidden plan. Several council members had secretly allied with rival factions, hoping to limit humanity's influence and control key sectors of space. Earth's colonies, rich in rare minerals and energy sources, were prime targets. The vote began. Lights blinked beside each delegate's name, green for yes, red for no. One by one, votes were cast. To Lyra's growing horror, the red lights multiplied. Allies she had trusted turned against her. Whispers filled the chamber, but the decision was clear. The council had betrayed Earth. A murmur rose among some of the younger delegates. "This can't be right," one whispered to another. "Why would they oppose a fair deal?" Lyra's communicator beeped sharply. She stepped aside and opened it. The face of Admiral Corrin, commander of Earth's defense forces, appeared. "Captain Dane," he said, voice low. "We've intercepted council communications. They are planning a coordinated strike on Earth colonies. They think humanity is weak and can be contained." Lyra's jaw tightened. "How many ships?" she asked. "Several fleets armed with advanced weapons. They'll strike within standard hyperjump intervals, less than 2 days. 2 days. That was all they had to prepare. But Lyra did not panic. Humanity had survived worse and adapted faster than anyone expected. She turned back to the chamber, hiding her growing anger behind a calm mask. The council president continued. "Earth's delegation, your objections have been noted. The accord is passed. Effective immediately, sanctions and restrictions on Earth trade and technology transfer will be enforced." Lyra clenched her fists, her nails pressing into her palms. "Sanctions," she muttered. "A polite word for betrayal?" As the council adjourned, Lyra returned to her ship, the Resolute, docked in Nivara's orbital station. The flagship gleamed under artificial lights, its hull strong and proud, a symbol of human determination. Crew members were already preparing for war, though many were unaware of the full scale of the threat. Lyra walked along the corridors, her boots echoing on metal floors. She stopped at the bridge, where officers were monitoring communications and fleet status. Lieutenant Mira Chen, her second-in-command, looked up. "Captain, we're ready. Ships are powered, weapons systems online, and civilians have been evacuated from vulnerable colonies." "Good," Lyra replied, her voice steady. "Activate defensive protocols and run simulations. I want every possible strategy prepared. We may have to strike first if they make the wrong move." Mira nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Humanity had always faced threats from more powerful civilizations. But what made them strong was their ability to innovate, to use intelligence and courage to overcome overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, Council ships were already leaving hyperspace near Earth's colonies. Their movement was calculated and precise, assuming humanity would hesitate. But Earth had learned from centuries of exploration and conflict. Every colony had communication relays, and scouts had been watching Council fleets for weeks. Lyra activated a holographic display on the bridge. A three-dimensional map of nearby star systems appeared, showing fleet positions, jump points, and resource clusters. "They think they can isolate us," she said, pointing to the incoming ships. "They don't understand that humans adapt faster than anyone expects. We won't wait for them to strike. We will meet them on their terms, on their turf, and show them the strength of Earth's fleet." Crew members exchanged determined glances. Humans were known for their unpredictability, their courage in impossible situations, and the crew of the Resolute embodied that reputation. As the Resolute prepared to jump, Ilara's mind raced. She remembered the lessons her father had taught her, a decorated fleet commander who had once defended Earth from pirate fleets and rogue star nations. "Strength without intelligence is wasted," he had said. "But intelligence without courage is nothing. Humanity has both." The fleet's jump engines activated, creating a bluish distortion around the ships. In moments, they vanished from Nivara's orbit, heading toward the Council's staging grounds. The Council fleet had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would cost them dearly. On board one of the Council's lead ships, Admiral Xylar, a multi-limbed alien with years of combat experience, reviewed the incoming transmissions. "They've mobilized faster than expected," Xylar hissed. "Are the humans aware of our plan?" His aide, a smaller gray-scaled creature, shook his head. "They don't know the full extent yet, but they are acting with courage and coordination." "Unusual for humans," Xylar growled. "We cannot allow them to disrupt the accord. Prepare for engagement. I want Earth contained, their colonies crippled before they even realize our true power." Back on the Resolute, Ilara convened a strategy meeting. Hollow screens showed maps of asteroid belts, gas giants, and nebulae that could serve as tactical advantages. "We will not fight them head-on," she explained. "We will use the environment, our agility, and our unpredictability. They expect humans to obey rules. They underestimate our ability to think outside the box." Lieutenant Chen added, "Our drones are ready. We've modified them to mimic decoy ships and to jam communications. They won't see us coming until it's too late." Ilara smiled faintly. "Exactly. And once we strike, we do so decisively. Humanity does not wait for mercy. We claim victory with intelligence, courage, and unity." As the fleet approached the Council's staging area, tension rose. The stars seemed brighter, sharper, and the silence of space was broken only by the hum of engines and the occasional communication signal. Crew members checked systems repeatedly, their faces a mix of fear, determination, and anticipation. Ilara stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. "This is it," she said softly. "We fight not for revenge, but to protect our people, our home, and the future of humanity. Let them see what it means to betray Earth." The Council fleet remained unaware that their target was not a defenseless planet, but a united, prepared, and determined species ready to defend itself. Humanity's reputation as survivors, innovators, and warriors was about to be proven once again. And as the first stars of the Council's territory came into view, Ilara pressed the activation key for the fleet-wide alert. Lights flashed, engines hummed, and the Resolute and its accompanying ships moved into formation. The coming battle would be fierce, but humans had one advantage no one could anticipate: the heart of their people. In the Council chamber back on Nivara, the betrayal had already set events in motion that no one could reverse, and though they believed humanity would falter, they had yet to learn the cost of underestimating a species that refused to bow to fear, betrayal, or oppression. For the first time, Captain Ilara Dane allowed herself a small, confident smile. Humanity would not just survive, they would strike back. And when the Council realized the mistake they had made, it would be too late. The stage was set, the players ready, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Humanity's fleet moved like a shadow through space, quiet but unstoppable, and somewhere deep within the cosmos, a new chapter of history was about to be written, a chapter where humans would not be betrayed again. The Resolute and its fleet of human ships exited hyperspace in the outer reaches of the Council's territory. Stars streaked past the observation windows, and the vast emptiness of space seemed silent, but Ilara Dane knew better. In the darkness, threats moved like predators. Every blip on the sensors could be an enemy, every distant light a warning. "Captain," Lieutenant Mira Chen said, her eyes fixed on the tactical display, "our scans show the Council's main fleet is spread across 3 sectors. They are confident. They think we are reacting slowly." Ilara leaned over the display, her eyes scanning the numbers and formations. "Confidence is dangerous," she said. "It makes them predictable, and predictability is a weakness. Humanity will exploit that." Humans were known for thinking differently. While other species followed strict procedures and rules, humans improvised. They adapted. And now, in the silent void of space, that skill would decide the future. The fleet moved in coordinated patterns, smaller ships weaving between larger cruisers, scanners constantly scanning for anomalies. Engineers monitored shields and weapon systems ready to reroute energy in an instant. Civilians on transport vessels had been evacuated to safe stations far from combat zones, but even the support teams were trained to assist in emergencies. Every human on board knew the stakes, and every mind was focused. Lyra called the fleet together in a simulation chamber. Holographic maps projected star systems and the Council's fleet positions. "We will not attack recklessly," she explained. "We strike smart, fast, and decisive. They expect humans to fight with brute force. Instead, we use strategy, technology, and intelligence." She pointed at a dense asteroid field near a resource-rich planet. "This is our first advantage. We can hide ships here, disrupt their communications, and force them into narrow pathways. We choose the battlefield, not them. Every move will be calculated, every strike precise." Lieutenant Chen added, "We've deployed drones that mimic our ships and can jam enemy communications. They will never know the real fleet until it's too late." Lyra nodded. "Good, the Council underestimates humans. That will be their undoing." Meanwhile, scientists on board the Resolute worked tirelessly. They had developed new plasma shields that adapted to energy weapons, and AI-driven targeting systems that could predict enemy maneuvers. Each new innovation was a secret advantage, a surprise the Council could not anticipate. Dr. Tariq, the lead scientist, approached Lyra with a small device. "Captain, we've completed the prototype for the adaptive cloak. It can hide a ship from visual and energy sensors for short periods. In the right conditions, it can turn an entire squadron invisible to the enemy." Lyra's eyes brightened. "Perfect. Prepare for immediate deployment. Every advantage counts." As the fleet advanced, communication signals picked up transmissions from the Council. Admiral Zyler's voice echoed over the secure channel, harsh and commanding. "Humans," he said. "You are isolated. Surrender now and your colonies will be spared. Resist and you will face total destruction." Lyra stared at the screen, her face calm. "We do not surrender," she replied firmly. "Humanity does not bow to threats. We protect our people, our home, and our future. If you wish to test our resolve, come prepared to face it." The transmission ended abruptly. Zylar had expected hesitation, perhaps even fear. Instead, he found confidence. Humanity had grown stronger than the Council realized. Lyra's fleet reached the asteroid field she had marked. Massive rocks floated silently, twisted by gravity and radiation. It was a dangerous place, but that danger was exactly why it was ideal. Enemy ships relied on predictable paths. Humans thrived in chaos. "Deploy drones," Lyra ordered. "Activate the cloaks on the scout ships. We will create the illusion of fewer numbers, then strike where they least expect." The drones moved first, zipping through the asteroids and broadcasting false signals. Smaller ships followed, hidden in the shadows of massive rocks. Larger cruisers remained out of direct sight, their shields glowing faintly under the protective cloaks. Hours passed. The fleet remained in position, monitoring Council movements. Sensors detected multiple enemy ships approaching the perimeter. They were moving cautiously, unaware of the human ambush waiting in the asteroid field. Lyra paced the bridge. "Remember," she said to her officers, "humans do not just fight. We adapt, we innovate. Every decision you make can change the outcome of this battle. Stay alert, stay smart, and trust your instincts." Lieutenant Chen grinned. "Understood, Captain. We've trained for this and we're ready." Then the first Council ship entered the asteroid field. Its sensors registered the drones and false signals. Confused, it slowed down, sending messages back to its fleet. "Something's wrong," Zylar hissed. "I want visual confirmation. Do not engage until we know their positions." But it was too late. Humans had already taken the initiative. Scout ships, hidden behind massive asteroids, launched precision strikes, disabling the Council ships' engines with targeted plasma bursts. Drones created false targets, drawing the rest of the fleet into traps. "Excellent," Lyra said, watching the display. "They are falling for it exactly as predicted. Keep the pressure on." The Council fleet reacted, but they were always one step behind. Every move the humans made was unexpected, exploiting weaknesses that alien commanders would have dismissed. The asteroid field became a maze of confusion for the Council ships, while humans moved like shadows, striking quickly and retreating before counterattacks could land. Meanwhile, back on the Resolute, communication officers received distress calls from colonies near the contested sectors. Human engineers were dispatched immediately, stabilizing energy grids and reinforcing defenses with advanced technology harvested from captured Council systems. Every victory in space allowed humans to protect their people and their resources. Alara's mind raced with strategies. We will not stop here. We need to secure the communication hubs of the Council fleet, cut their ability to coordinate reinforcements, and we will gain complete control of the battlefield. Lieutenant Chen activated the AI systems for a coordinated strike. Drones carried small teams of human commandos equipped with adaptive armor and energy disruptors. They moved silently, disabling Council satellites and cutting key communications. Within hours, the Council fleet was blind, unable to call for help or organize effectively. Admiral Zylar's frustration grew. "These humans," he muttered, "they think differently. They are unpredictable. We must retreat and regroup." But the humans did not allow retreat. Using their advantage, Lyra ordered a surgical strike on the enemy flagship. Precision plasma beams disabled key systems without harming other ships unnecessarily. Humans were careful. They struck to neutralize, not to destroy everything in sight. They were strong but also disciplined and moral. The Council ships faltered, disorganized, and panicked. Humans moved like a tide, surrounding the remaining fleet and forcing them to surrender or flee. The asteroid field, once a place of danger, had become humanity's greatest weapon. Lyra allowed herself a brief moment of pride. Humanity had not yet fired all its weapons, yet they had already turned the battle. The fleet's courage, intelligence, and teamwork had outmatched superior numbers. As the day ended, the Resolute and its fleet regrouped. Scouts reported minimal damage and human losses were low. The first wave of the Council fleet had been contained, and humans had demonstrated that their resolve was stronger than anyone anticipated. Lyra addressed her crew. "Today we proved that humans do not bow to fear or betrayal. We act with intelligence, courage, and unity. The Council will learn that underestimating humanity is the gravest mistake they can make. But the fight is far from over. We must continue to protect our people, secure our colonies, and prepare for the next challenge. Humanity will not be defeated." The crew erupted in cheers, their morale soaring. They had faced a threat head-on, and they had won through skill and determination, not mere brute force. Humanity's reputation in the galaxy would only grow stronger. And as the Resolute set a new course toward the next Council fleet position, Lyra allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. The betrayal had set humanity on this path, but it had also revealed something essential. When cornered, humans did not falter. They rose higher than anyone imagined. The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to the resilience of a species that refused to be broken. And deep in her heart, Lyra knew one thing with certainty: humanity's resolve would not waver. The Council had underestimated them, and that mistake would echo across the galaxy. The battle had begun, and Earth's fleet was ready to fight, not just for survival, but for honor, justice, and the future of all humanity. The void of space stretched endlessly, cold and silent, but within it a storm of metal and energy was about to erupt. Humanity's fleet, led by Captain Lyra Dane aboard the Resolute, moved with quiet precision through the outer sectors of the Council's territory. They were no longer hiding. The humans were ready to engage the full might of the Council fleet. "Captain, sensors indicate the enemy fleet is forming a defensive line near the Loran Nebula," Lieutenant Mira Chen reported, her eyes scanning the holographic map of swirling gas clouds and asteroid fields. "They are expecting us to attack head-on." Lyra nodded, her mind already calculating multiple strategies. "Then we do not attack head-on. We will use the environment, our speed, and our unpredictability. Let them think they control the battlefield while we decide how it ends." The Council fleet, confident and organized, moved slowly through the nebula. Their massive ships glimmered like distant stars, their energy weapons ready. Admiral Zylar, commanding from the lead ship, believed humans were cornered and desperate. But humans thrived when others underestimated them. Lyra called the bridge crew together. "We strike in 3 phases, she explained, pointing at the holographic display. "First, we scatter drones to create false targets and confuse their sensors. Second, our scout ships will flank from behind the nebula clouds. Finally, our main fleet will strike where they least expect. Every move is timed, precise, and controlled." The crew nodded, their faces a mixture of determination and focus. Humans were adaptable, and every officer knew that improvisation could save lives and win battles. "Phase 1? Initiate," Lyra ordered. Drones shot forward like swarms of fireflies, their tiny hulls reflecting faint nebula light. They created false signatures mimicking larger human ships. Council scanners picked up dozens of incoming targets, though only a few were real. Confusion rippled through the enemy fleet. "Admiral, multiple contacts detected," Xylar growled. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Do not engage until we confirm their positions." It was exactly what Ilara had hoped. The Council fleet slowed, cautious, their confidence beginning to waver. "Phase 2, Ilara commanded. Scout ships, nimble and cloaked, slipped around the edges of the nebula. Using its swirling gases for cover, they moved unseen. Energy disruptors silently disabled enemy shields on smaller Council ships, leaving them vulnerable. "Target acquired," Chen reported. "Engaging with precision strikes." Plasma bursts erupted from the scout ships, disabling engines and weapon systems. Human engineers had designed these attacks to be surgical, removing threats without causing unnecessary destruction. The Council fleet reeled as ships lost power and floated helplessly in space. "Excellent," Ilara said. "Phase 3. Main fleet, advance. Concentrate fire on disorganized enemy clusters. Avoid civilian casualties if present. Strike with intelligence, not blind force." The Resolute and accompanying human cruisers surged forward, weaving through asteroid belts and nebula clouds with agility, unmatched by the slower, predictable Council ships. Energy beams flashed through space, but human shields absorbed much of the damage. Adaptive AI targeting systems calculated movements in real time, predicting enemy maneuvers before they happened. The Council fleet, powerful but rigid, struggled to respond. Xylar's orders became frantic, his calm command replaced by confusion. "Form defensive formations. Do not allow them to separate our fleet." But it was already too late. The humans had used strategy, terrain, and speed to divide and conquer. Small Council ships were picked off first, engines destroyed, weapons disabled, leaving larger vessels isolated. Ilara watched the battle unfold on the holographic display, her mind sharp. "Focus on leadership units," she ordered. "Capture or disable command ships first. Without direction, the Council fleet will collapse." Human boarding teams moved swiftly. Using mini-ships and gravity grappling systems, they reached Council command vessels. Soldiers in adaptive armor silently neutralized enemy crews, capturing key officers without unnecessary harm. The Resolute's boarding protocols were precise. Effective and ethical, humans struck hard, but they did not waste lives when they could be spared. "Admiral Xylar's flagship is vulnerable," Chen reported. "Shields weakened, engines offline. Boarding team ready." Ilara's voice was steady. "Proceed. Remember, humanity fights to win, not to destroy without cause." The boarding team engaged, swiftly taking control of the Council flagship. Xylar, cornered, realized the humans were more than what he expected. He tried to send commands, but all communication channels had been cut by earlier drone strikes. The flagship was surrounded, isolated, and powerless. "Captain Dane, this is Xylar." His voice came through the emergency channel, strained and harsh. "You are formidable. We underestimated. Humanity, what do you want?" Ilara's eyes met the camera on the bridge. "We want peace, but we will not be controlled. Surrender and your fleet will live. Resist and face total defeat. The choice is yours," Xylar's silence was telling. Human strategy, ingenuity, and courage had shattered the Council's confidence. For the first time, he realized humans were not just clever. They were united, disciplined, and fearless. Outside, the battle continued. Smaller Council ships attempted to escape, but humans anticipated their routes. Plasma nets disabled engines, and adaptive AI targeting ensured minimal human loss. The fleet moved like a single organism, every ship a part of a greater whole. Ilara stood on the bridge, observing the chaos through calm eyes. "Remember," she said to her crew, "our strength is not in numbers alone. It is in our intelligence, coordination, and courage. Each decision matters. Protect each other. Protect our people. Humanity will not falter." The Council fleet, once imposing, was now scattered. Some ships surrendered, while others attempted desperate maneuvers to escape the human assault. Every move they made had been anticipated. Every action countered with precision. As the battle reached its peak, humans had achieved what no one thought possible. They had turned the tables completely. They had used their environment, technology, and creativity to overcome a larger, better-armed force. The nebula had become their ally, the drones their eyes, and their courage the final weapon. Ilara allowed herself a small, proud smile. Humanity had shown its true strength, not through reckless aggression, but through careful planning, adaptability, and unity. The Council had believed betrayal would leave Earth defenseless. They had been wrong. Finally, the last Council ship attempted a retreat through a hyperspace corridor. Human scouts intercepted it, disabling its engines and forcing surrender. The void, once silent, now held the echoes of victory and human ingenuity. Lyra gathered her crew on the bridge. "Today, humanity proved its place among the stars," she said. "We were betrayed, but we did not falter. We used intelligence, courage, and unity to overcome overwhelming odds. Remember this moment. It will define our future. Humanity fights not just to survive, but to lead with honor and strength." Cheers erupted across the fleet. Ships glowed with lights of victory, and even in the vast emptiness of space, humans felt the warmth of success. They had turned betrayal into opportunity, threat into triumph, and fear into determination. As the fleet regrouped, Captain Dane allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. The Council had underestimated humans, believing betrayal would weaken them. Instead, it had revealed their true strength. Humanity had adapted, fought, and won, and the galaxy would remember this day, not for the Council's power, but for human ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable resolve. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a silent witness to the battle that had changed the course of human history. Humanity had taken the first step in reclaiming its honor and securing its place in the galaxy. And Captain Lyra Dane knew that the fight was far from over. The Council would respond. There would be consequences, challenges, and more battles. But now humanity had proven one essential truth. When cornered, humans did not surrender. They adapted, they fought, and they rose stronger than ever. And deep in her heart, Lyra understood the greatest lesson of all. Betrayal could be overcome, but only if courage, intelligence, and unity were combined. Humanity possessed all three, and no council, no matter how powerful, could ever destroy that. The battle of the void was over, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun. The Council fleet was in disarray. Scattered ships drifted helplessly through the void, and communication lines were disrupted. But Captain Lyra Dane knew that victory in a single battle was not enough. The Council's leadership still held the power to regroup, to strike back, and to threaten humanity's colonies. It was time for the next phase, humanity's reckoning. The Resolute led the fleet deeper into Council space, moving toward the main command station orbiting the planet Siloria. The station was massive, a symbol of Council control, bristling with weapons and defenses. But humans did not fear size or power. They had learned to exploit weaknesses, to strike where others expected caution. "Captain," Lieutenant Mira Chen said, pointing to the holographic map. "The station is heavily shielded, and orbital defenses are active. If we rush in, we risk serious damage to our fleet." Lyra studied the display. "Then we do not rush," she said firmly. "We will approach with strategy. The station depends on static defense and predictable patrols. We will use mobility, precision strikes, and the environment. Humanity does not need brute force. We need intelligence and timing." The fleet advanced cautiously, weaving between asteroid belts and nebula clouds to mask their approach. Scout drones moved ahead, scanning for weaknesses. Sensors revealed shield frequencies, energy flows, and patrol routes. Humanity had prepared meticulously, using technology, skill, and observation to plan every move. Lyra called a meeting with her officers. "This is the Council's heart," she explained. "We strike not to destroy indiscriminately, but to disable their military capability. Every choice must protect our people and minimize unnecessary destruction. We are strong, but we are also just." The crew listened intently. Humans were not just warriors. They were thinkers, strategists, and problem solvers. Every officer understood the importance of moral courage as well as tactical skill. "Deploy Phase 1, Lyra ordered. Drones darted forward, projecting false signatures and emitting energy signals that confused the station's sensors. Council defenses activated, firing at phantom targets while the real fleet remained hidden in shadow. "Phase 2, she continued. Scout ships, nimble and equipped with adaptive cloaking, slipped past the outer defenses. They targeted critical systems, power generators, communication arrays, and weapon controllers, disabling them silently. Council engineers struggled to respond, unable to track the hidden attackers. Admiral Xylar, still recovering from the previous battle, watched helplessly. "They move like shadows," he muttered. "Impossible. How can humans strike without being seen?" "Humans are not predictable," his aide replied. "They adapt. They anticipate this is their strength. Ilara's main fleet remained in the background, ready to move at her command. She studied the station's orbital patterns and defenses. The next step is decisive, she said. We neutralize the leadership and secure the station. Their fleet is broken, but their command is still alive. Humanity does not leave loose ends. A squadron of human boarding vessels launched. Using magnetic grapples, they latched onto the station's surface and silently breached airlocks. Soldiers in adaptive armor moved with precision, disabling security systems and confronting council guards. The operation was swift and calculated. No chaos, no unnecessary risk, only efficiency and control. Inside the station, Lyra personally oversaw the capture of council leaders. Xylar was cornered in the command hub, surrounded by humans who moved calmly but with authority. Captain Dane, he said, his voice tense, you have destroyed our fleet and now threaten our station. What do you want from us? Ilara's gaze was firm. We want an end to your control over humanity's colonies. You betrayed our people and now you face the consequences. You can surrender and join a fair system, or resist and face complete defeat. The choice is yours. Xylar hesitated, realizing his power was gone. The humans had not only defeated his fleet, but they had captured the Council's central command. The arrogance and confidence of betrayal had crumbled in the face of human ingenuity and unity. Meanwhile, outside the station, the Resolute's fleet continued to secure strategic points. Drones disabled remaining orbital weapons, and human engineers repaired minor damage to civilian structures, showing that humans fought to protect life, not destroy recklessly. Every action reinforced humanity's reputation for intelligence, courage, and moral responsibility. Lyra allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had turned betrayal into opportunity. The Council had underestimated humans, believing that fear and diplomacy alone would control them. Instead, humans had responded with strategy, courage, and precision. On the station's observation deck, Lyra watched the stars. The Council thought they could break us, she said quietly. They believed betrayal would weaken humanity, but they misjudged the most important strength of all, our unity and our resolve. Her officers gathered around. Lieutenant Chen spoke, her voice steady. Captain, with the station secured and their leadership contained, humanity can now protect colonies, secure resources, and prevent further attacks. We've turned the tables completely. Lyra nodded. Yes, but we must remain vigilant. This victory is only the beginning. The Council may attempt other tactics, but they will not succeed if humans remain united, intelligent, and courageous. The captured Council leaders were brought before the fleet. Lyra addressed them firmly. You betrayed humanity. You sought to control and weaken us. Now your choices are clear. Cooperate or face consequences. Humanity does not destroy without reason, but we will not forgive treachery. Some leaders, realizing their defeat, agreed to cooperate under strict supervision. Others attempted subtle resistance, but humans anticipated every move, ensuring no harm could come from betrayal again. The Council's system of deception and control had been dismantled. Back on the Resolute, engineers activated systems to secure key energy sources in the sector, preventing any future Council attempts to weaponize resources. Humanity's fleet moved with purpose, not just as warriors, but as protectors and stabilizers. Every action reflected human values, strength paired with responsibility, courage paired with intelligence. Lyra convened a final council on the station. Holographic displays showed the galaxy, highlighting colonies and resources. Humanity will not seek vengeance, she said, but we will ensure security, fairness, and protection for all. Betrayal cannot be ignored, but we act with honor and intelligence. This is the future we fight for. Her officers felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity had faced betrayal, not with fear or aggression alone, but with strategy, ingenuity, and moral courage. The fleet had neutralized threats, secured leadership, and safeguarded colonies, all without unnecessary destruction. Admiral Xylar, observing human discipline, realized the depth of their strength. They fight not just for survival, he muttered. They fight with purpose, intelligence, and honor. We misjudged them entirely. Lyra stood on the observation deck, looking at the captured Council leaders and the fleet beyond. This is only the beginning, she said softly. Humanity has the power to protect itself and others, but with power comes responsibility. We will show the galaxy that humans can lead, not through fear, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. The stars beyond the station reflected in her eyes. Humanity had faced betrayal and emerged stronger. The Council had underestimated them, but humans had adapted, fought, and won. They had proven that intelligence, strategy, and moral courage were as powerful as any weapon. And as the fleet prepared to return to secure colonies and continue operations, Lyra knew that humanity's legacy was being written in the stars. Betrayal had been answered not with panic or aggression, but with strength, precision, and honor. The Council's influence had been broken, but the lessons remained clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. Every colony, every fleet, every citizen reflected a species capable of extraordinary courage and ingenuity. Lyra Dane smiled faintly. Humanity had faced betrayal, but they had also proven themselves. The galaxy had seen the full measure of human strength, and those who doubted it would remember it forever. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and humanity's fleet moved through them with purpose, ready to protect, to lead, and to ensure that no betrayal would ever go unanswered again. The battle was won, but the war for peace, honor, and justice in the galaxy continued. Humanity had taken a decisive step, showing that they could face any threat with courage, intelligence, and unity. And deep in the heart of the Resolute, Captain Lyra Dane knew one truth above all. Humans were a force the galaxy could not ignore, a species that would rise stronger from every challenge, and a light that would shine in even the darkest voids of space. The Council's command station lay silent, its massive hull scarred from precise human strikes. Ships drifted in orbit, disabled or surrendered, their crews waiting for instructions. Humanity's fleet had done what no one expected. They had turned betrayal into victory, and now, the galaxy itself seemed to pause and watch. Captain Lyra Dane stood on the bridge of the Resolute, looking out at the scene. Her fleet had neutralized the Council's main force, captured leaders, and secured key systems. But victory was not a moment, it was a responsibility. Every action from this point forward would define humanity's place among the stars. Captain, Lieutenant Mira Chen reported, Council leaders have agreed to cooperate under supervision. Their fleets are under human control, and the colonies they threatened are secure. We have stability for now. Lyra nodded, her expression serious. Good, but this is only the beginning. We must establish a system to prevent betrayal, to protect all colonies, and to ensure fairness across the galaxy. Human engineers and diplomats worked together. Communication hubs were repaired and upgraded, resource routes secured, and councils established to involve local leaders in governance. Humanity's actions were precise, ethical, and protective. They had power, but they wielded it responsibly. The captured council leaders were brought aboard the Resolute. They had expected humans to exact vengeance, to punish without mercy. Instead, they found discipline, fairness, and respect. Captain Dane, Zyler said, his voice heavy with realization, we underestimated your species. We thought betrayal would weaken you. We were wrong. Lyra's eyes were steady. Humanity protects its people. Betrayal will not go unchallenged, but we do not destroy without reason. You had a choice, and now you have a chance to cooperate. The galaxy will be governed fairly, or it will face consequences. The leaders bowed slightly, understanding the gravity of the moment. Humans had proven their strength, intelligence, and moral integrity. Their victory was not just in battle, it was in the way they had conducted themselves. Meanwhile, fleets repaired, scientists continued to innovate, and colonies across the galaxy began rebuilding with human guidance. Systems that had been threatened by the Council were stabilized, and resources that had been at risk were now protected. Humans were not conquerors, they were guardians. Lyra walked along the corridors of the Resolute, observing her crew. Soldiers trained, engineers analyzed captured technology, and diplomats coordinated with alien representatives. Every human on board understood the stakes, the responsibility, and the importance of their actions. Captain, Chen said, joining her. People across the colonies are reporting relief and renewed hope. Humanity's response inspired them. They know we are here to protect, not to dominate. Lyra nodded. That is the key. Strength without justice is tyranny. Intelligence without compassion is cruelty. Humanity has both. We must show the galaxy that power is most effective when paired with wisdom and honor. Orders were sent to deploy observation fleets across neighboring sectors, ensuring no rogue factions could rise and no council remnants could regroup. Every move was strategic, every action protective. Humans had learned from betrayal. They would not be caught unprepared again. In the council chamber aboard the captured station, Lyra addressed representatives from allied systems. "The council has failed humanity," she said, her voice firm. "But failure does not mean chaos. It means opportunity. Opportunity to create a fair, balanced, and secure system. From this point forward, all species will have representation and no betrayal will go unchecked. We will protect the weak, reward cooperation, and ensure the galaxy thrives through fairness and strength." The representatives, a mix of humans and aliens, listened intently. They had seen the fleet in action, witnessed human strategy, and understood the discipline with which humanity had acted. There was awe, respect, and a growing recognition. Humanity was not a threat to peace, they were a guarantee of it. Back on the Resolute, Lyra reflected on the journey. Humanity had been betrayed by the Council, threatened and underestimated. But betrayal had revealed their true nature: resilient, intelligent, courageous, and moral. They had turned adversity into triumph, chaos into order, and danger into opportunity. "Captain," Chen said softly. "What now? The Council is contained, our colonies are safe. What is the next step?" Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes fixed on the stars. "Now we ensure the galaxy remembers that humanity cannot be ignored. We explore, we protect, we govern with wisdom. We lead, not through fear, but through strength, courage, and honor. This is only the beginning." Humanity's fleet moved out from the captured station, returning to colonies and other sectors to secure them. Every ship carried not just weapons and technology, but hope. Humans had demonstrated that betrayal, no matter how severe, could be overcome with intelligence, planning, and unity. Communications from the colonies were full of gratitude and relief. Systems once threatened by the Council now had security, resources, and guidance. Humanity had not just defended, they had restored faith in leadership, fairness, and cooperation. Lyra oversaw the return of captured Council leaders to supervised councils, ensuring that they could not threaten humanity again. "Justice without cruelty," she said, "and strength without oppression. That is humanity's way." In quiet moments aboard the Resolute, Lyra thought of her crew, her people, and the countless generations who had fought, survived, and adapted. Humanity had always been underestimated, and they had always risen higher than expected. Betrayal had not broken them. It had revealed their true strength. As the fleet regrouped and prepared for further exploration and protection missions, Lyra addressed the officers one last time. "Remember, our strength is not only in our ships or our weapons. It is in our minds, our hearts, and our unity. We fight not for conquest, but for survival, protection, and justice. Humanity will always rise to meet any challenge, and the galaxy will remember that." The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to humanity's triumph. The fleet moved like a river of light, bringing safety, hope, and order to systems that had once been threatened. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their courage, intelligence, and moral strength made them unstoppable when united. Even Admiral Xylar, once arrogant and confident, recognized the truth. He had seen the humans fight, innovate, and act with honor. "They are unlike anything we imagined," he said quietly to his aides. "We misjudged them completely. Humanity will not be denied nor ignored." Lyra stood on the bridge, looking at the stars and the fleet around her. Humanity had been betrayed, but they had risen stronger than ever. Their colonies were safe, their fleet was victorious, and their reputation had been forged in the fire of adversity. The galaxy knew that humans were not just survivors, they were leaders, protectors, and a force to be reckoned with. In the months that followed, humanity's presence in the galaxy expanded, not through domination but through protection, exploration, and collaboration. Systems once threatened by the Council now flourished under human guidance. Trade routes were secured, research stations established, and alliances strengthened. Humans were respected, feared, and admired for both their strength and their honor. Lyra reflected on the journey, on betrayal, and on triumph. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, but they had responded with intelligence, courage, and moral clarity. Betrayal had not destroyed them, it had defined them, and the galaxy would never forget it. The Resolute led the fleet toward the next star system, a symbol of human power, discipline, and vision. The journey ahead was long, but humanity was ready. They had learned that unity, intelligence, and courage could overcome any challenge, and that even in the darkest voids of space, they would shine as a force of honor and protection. Lyra smiled faintly. The galaxy had been tested and humanity had passed. Betrayed by the Council, underestimated by their enemies, humans had risen higher than anyone expected. They had claimed their place among the stars, not through fear but through strength, intelligence, and honor. And as the fleet moved onward, humanity's story continued, one of courage, innovation, and an unbreakable spirit that no betrayal could ever destroy. The galaxy had learned the lesson. Humans were a force unlike any other. Betrayal could not stop them, opposition could not defeat them, and no matter the challenge, humanity would rise. Always.